Hey y'all, it's Shayla, and today I'm going to be talking about grow bags and how to fill them with soil. I previously, it's been quite a while, probably about a year or more. I think it was like a year and a half ago. I did a video that talks about the importance of soil, water. I'm going to specifically show you how I fill up a bag that doesn't have anything in it, and then how I amend the soil that's already in a grow bag. Okay, so let's start with just amending the grow bags, because whenever you start out with a grow bag and you have soil already in it that you've already used, once the soil is used, you need to amend it. So I'm going to do two things. This one doesn't have a whole lot of soil in it to begin with, and one of the reasons that I need to do this is that I have onions that need to be planted, but it's going to be kind of cold outside, and I don't want to risk them like planting them and then being outside until they actually take root. Once they take root, I don't care, because they're cold tolerant, frost tolerant. But anyways, so we've got about 5 days that it's going to be really, really cold outside, and so I've got to get these onions in some soil. If this had more soil in it, I wouldn't add any more of the raised bed mix, but I'm going to add some raised bed mix in this because it's right about halfway full, and you need, whenever you're planting the plants, you want the soil to be about an inch or two below the bag. Otherwise, during the year, it'll do this, and it could cover your plant. So anyways, that's what we're going to do. We're going to put some more of the actual soil in here. So now what I do, and if you guys can't see, Nick is my assistant today. He's helping me. If you want to help, you can help too, yes. They love to help me whenever there's a camera around.
Yes.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with compost.
Yeah.
You can use the scoop. Alright, so they're going to get the compost in. Let me just explain to you guys one of the reasons we're doing it this way. So when you plant inside this grow bag, the plant is going to get all of its nutrients from the soil that's in this bag. It doesn't matter what container it is in. The reason that grow bags work for me is because I can transport them and I can control the water that's in there. Grow bags are very they have a tendency to dry out more than some other containers because it's a porous bag. So since it's a porous bag, it is extremely important that you stay on top of the watering. It just is. Which I have talked about that in the previous video, and I will link that in one of the cards up here. I can't remember which side it goes. Anyways, so once he gets, we're probably going to put about 5 more of those containers full. Hi, Bella's trying to help too. Yeah. And in trying to help, she's getting in his way. The compost is a little bit more difficult to actually scoop up because they're bigger chunks of bark and stuff like that that's in it. This is a mushroom compost. The raised soil bed mix that I used is it's called Daddy Pete's. It's what we have here locally, and it's a what I have currently. It's a planting mix. Sometimes I use a raised bed mix. They're pretty much the same. It's basically pine bark, and then there's cow manure and stuff like that in the mix. So then I have a mushroom compost here. Now, the next thing that I use is I use worm castings. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build up the nutrient value in my soil for the grow bag. So that's the reason. I also normally add a little bit of Azomite Dust, but I don't have any. I haven't purchased any yet this season. It's not as important for onions, so I'm not worried about it at this point. But I do use Azomite Dust as it adds minerals. So these are worm castings. You can buy worm castings online. Some stores like Tractor Supply, Walmart sometimes carries worm castings. I just need one more scoop. So you just need, I just kind of eyeball it, what I think I need. And sometimes it's clumpy, so I will sit and I will break up the clumps. If you have fresh worm castings, if you raise worms yourself or whatever, that's much better, of course. But I don't have worms. I eventually want to, but I don't currently have it. The next thing I use is I use an organic fertilizer, and I just put a couple handfuls in. It generally will tell you that it'll say for garden beds, it tells you need 3 pounds, which is 9 cups of the garden tone per 50 square feet. So I just throw a couple of handfuls in here, and then I mix it up. Now you can either mix all this up with your hand, or you can mix it up with a tool. You see how dark that is? So much nutrients in there. You could use, a trowel or whatever you want to mix it up with, but most of the time I just use my hands, unless I'm outside, and then if I'm outside, most of the time they're down on the ground, so I use a trowel or something to do it. Alright, so that's how I amend the soil. So let me show you, it's pretty similar the way that I do a new grow bag. When you start off with a new grow bag, it's going to be pretty similar with what I did with the other one. If the other one had been more full, I wouldn't have even used the raised bed mix or the planting mix. If the other grow bag had been full, I would have just added the compost, the worm castings, and the fertilizer. I don't know if you guys have this issue or not. My dog always tries to eat the fertilizer.
Or dirt.
I'm not sure why. Probably because it smells like poop. Because it's organic. So that's probably why. Anyways. Alright. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with raised bed mix, just like we did before. And we're going to pretty much fill this about 3/4 of the way with the raised bed mix. Because it's an actual raised bed mix or planting mix that's specifically formulated for containers, it does already have some, like I said, it has cow manure in it, so it's got some fertilizer in it already. But I always just add more. But that's why I use about 3/4 of the bag of the mix, and that's probably about where you want it, Nick. Alright, so the next is going to be the compost. And we're going to put probably about 5 scoops of compost in. Well, actually no, probably not that much.
3? Yeah, 3.
Yeah, 3. Well, 3.5. Yeah, well, no, maybe 1 more. Half more. Okay.
Good?
Yeah,
Cool.
that's good. Okay. It's only a couple of inches below the rim of the bag. I don't want it to be too full, but I also don't want it to be too little either, because it's really important that this doesn't shade out your seedlings or whatever you put in it. So you want to make sure that this is not going to shade out your plants either. So, all right, so then Nick has the worm castings in here. I just put a whole little container of them in and make sure that I break up any big clumps of them. All right. And then I add my fertilizer. All right. Now, these mixes are already moist. The compost is already moist, so I don't really have to worry about pre-moistening the soil. Sometimes they will be dry, so if they're dry when I open it, then I make sure to pre-moisten it, but I really didn't have to. I mean, it's the right consistency. You want it to be able to squeeze it and it kind of clumps, but then it can break easily apart before you plant it. That's the type of soil, this is the buildup of soil that I use in my grow bags. I know that there are a lot of people out there that they just go for a raised bed mix and they just put it in just like that, and that's all they use. I like to add more nutrients to the soil, which is why I go with adding the compost, the worm castings, and then I just add the fertilizer to the soil, and then it's pretty much ready. Now, you don't want to add the fertilizer and that kind of thing if you're going to be planting radishes. For most of your plants, that's how you're going, or that's how I build up the soil in my grow bags. All right, so anyway, so I just wanted to show you guys this. I just thought that because so many people have asked me questions, I've had friends ask me questions about what soil I use for my grow bags, and so I thought that since I had to plant some onions anyways, this would be a good time for me to show you guys how I build up the soil in my grow bags, whether it's amending it or starting from scratch. All right, so thank you guys for spending time with us today, and we'll see you soon.